Well, this came out of nowhere, but Koei Tecmo has released a demo for their upcoming Dynasty Warriors Origins for all modern gaming platforms bar the Switch. This really just shows how confident the devs are with their product, and this confidence was met with generally very favorable response from the players. Heck, even IGN was very positive with their reviews of the game and said that it should be one of the must-play games in 2025. Having tried out the demo for about 4 hours, I also like what I'm seeing and I have things that I want to say about it. First, the positives. I played the demo on the base PS5 and the game looks really good and runs really smoothly despite all the chaos on screen, which is basically just witchcraft to me considering how high budget games these days all tend to have optimization issues. Heck, even Koei Tecmo last few games like Wild Heart and Warlong also suffered from optimization issues when they first launched. Also, coming off of Dynasty Warriors 9, which looks ugly as sin, the difference in graphical advances is very apparent. Huge kudos to the devs for this. I know my footage probably doesn't do the game justice because I record it with the PS5 built-in record function and YouTube compression is gonna further kill its quality, but trust me, the game looks really good in action. The stage now no longer has lightning story events waiting to play out like in Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8, instead going back to more like the old PS2 games where events can happen in the farther part of the map and you can completely ignore it to do something else instead. This gives the player a lot more agency in how to tackle a stage and not just thoughtlessly going through the stage in motion, and can potentially give the game a lot more replayability. In one of my playthroughs of the demo, I ran into a situation where Sun Jian was struggling in the west due to the first event of him not being reinforced by Yuan Shu as planned, and Yuan Shao, the commander of the army, was struggling in the center due to him getting ganked by an enemy officer with higher morale, and was forced to choose who to save. I chose Sun Jian and rushed to his side, but saving him took so much time that by the time I finally began my rush to Yuan Shao, he was already defeated and the battle was lost. In another playthrough, I chose to stick with the central army until I know they are safe, but by doing so, I forsake Sun Jian and his army was wiped out, robbing me of a valuable ally in the last stretch of the battle. That's just really great. It's been way too long since a Dynasty Warriors game forces the player to make active choices like this instead of just being a one-man army that sweeps across the battlefield. Helps that the game is actually hard again now with enemy officers knowing how to fight back instead of being a total punching bag. Heck, even common soldiers can be a threat too if you play on higher difficulty. I love it! And needless to say, Lubu is also back to being a freaking menace now. The level of "we are so freaking back" is just off the chart.
Gotta be quicker. Going down.
Hardly worth my time.
About weapons and movesets, the game seems to have solved the age-old problem of the Musou combat format. Not counting Dynasty Warriors 6, in older games, character movesets, while very varied in the way they swing their weapons, are rather similar to each other in terms of functionality. There's the juggle enemy into the air attack. There's the multi-hit attack that stuns the enemy. There's the wide range attack that knocks the enemy back. This approach does make the combat very easy to understand, and the player can pick up any character and be familiar with their movesets almost immediately without much effort, but at the same time it can make most characters feel the same after a while. This is taken to the most extreme with Dynasty Warriors 9 with their free flow combat, which basically making all of the roster play the same and make the whole game feels very repetitive very quickly. Origins demo offers 4 types of weapons to choose from: the sword, the bow down, the one down, and the chakrams, and they all play very differently from each other. The sword is the most similar to the old charge combat system where you have 6 hit normal attack string and 6 heavy attacks that spawn from each normal attack. The bow down is now a charge focused weapon where you can hold down the heavy attack button to charge it into a more powerful or even an entirely different attack. The one down is the slowest weapon of the 4 and has the gimmick where you can seamlessly change normal attack into heavy attack, then heavy attack back to normal attack while breaking the attack sequence. The chakrams have a gimmick where heavy attacks throw out chakrams, and if you press the heavy attack button again when you catch the thrown out chakrams, you can dish out a more powerful version of the heavy attacks. Each weapon also comes with their own set of martial arts attacks assigned to different combinations of patterns, further differentiating them from each other. Sure, you are now required to actually look at the weapon move list first to see how it's meant to be played, and then spend a few more minutes actually getting used to the weapon's rhythm, but in exchange it makes for a lot more varied gameplay. And on top of these different types of weapon, you can also give out orders to a small group of soldiers to do stuff like raining down arrows on the enemies from afar or do a straightforward charge to open up a path. This freedom of choice in regard to combat is simply unseen before in a Dynasty Warriors game, and I just can't wait to see how much more the full game has to offer. And now for the not so positive things. Probably an unpopular opinion, but I think they kinda went overboard with the chaotic nature of a battle. Sure, watching videos of the game and seeing all these character models on screen is undeniably very cool, but when you are playing the game yourself, it can be kinda hard to see what the hell is going on at times due to the sheer amount of things happening simultaneously independent of each other. Sometimes the troops on screen can even be so many that they obscure the player character. This is especially apparent when you take on the Great Army at the end of the stage where the survivors of both armies collide into each other into one massive brawl that leaves almost no empty space on screen. I played the demo on the hardest difficulty and I died so many times during the last bit because I couldn't tell what was going on. Speaking of hard to tell what's going on, important UI elements are just way too scarlet. The map is in the bottom right corner, the morale display is on the top, and the dialog boxes are on the left, all while you need to pay attention to the very center. So it is very easy for your brain to just filter out important information if you're in the middle of an intense fight, which is just not great in my opinion. I also am kinda torn on the constant camera zooming in and out and changing angles. On one hand, it does make the game look more cinematic and exciting to watch, sure, but on the other hand, the boomer inside me feels like this messes up the pacing of the combat a bit much. Though admittedly I did seem to get used to this somewhat in later playthroughs of the demo, so it could become a non-issue with the full game, who knows. So yeah, all in all, minor gripes about the UI and the massive amount of stuff on screen aside, the demo gave a very strong first impression. I am so hyped for the game and January 17th really can't come soon enough. What about you guys though? Have you tried out the demo? If you haven't, then what are you waiting for? It is literally free, go play it, like right now. I am not asking.